Hello and welcome to Commerce Hero Daily number 43.
What is up, man?
Shout out Nucleus Commerce. It's so funny, man. I literally wear the same like 7 conference shirts every week. Like there's a guy at the coffee shop that's making fun of me because of it.
Oh, people are making fun of you at coffee shops now. You're like,
yeah, 100%.
You're a regular here, that's cool, but you're also regular with those t-shirts.
I have to it's honestly like I bought a shirt the other day, an Under Armour shirt. YouTube Life is forcing me to get some new shirts because it's a little crazy.
Yeah, because you're actually having to look at yourself in the camera every day and realizing
exactly. It's tough.
The truth about yourself. Yeah.
It's tough to have to face yourself in the camera. So, Steve, what's going on with you? How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm doing all right. You know, I got
cool.
I got a sick family at home, but you know, I'm out here unscathed. I think it's because I started it and I let them deal with the rest. So
it's messed up, dude. You got your whole family sick, bro. How do you feel about that?
I don't give a no, not too great. No, I mean honestly, you should
feel horrible.
When I come home, I got to deal with that. So
I haven't gotten sick in a while, dude. I haven't gotten sick in a while.
I mean, knock on wood, but what's the reason?
I don't know. Which is funny because you're probably in better shape than me.
It's not like if you're in better shape or if you exercise more.
I think it is though. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Sure,
doesn't it?
Sure.
I heard somebody on Facebook or something recently that was like, I'm trying to get into podcasts, but I hate how they do this like banter for the first couple minutes of every episode. It's such a waste of time. Yeah. And I'm like, that's my game, dude.
Well, I mean, we continue to do that because we really want to filter out all the people that hate our banter or our like nonsense talk.
Yes.
So if you're still watching by now, you are a true fan.
You're a true believer. Okay, topic of the day is hiring in the UK. You saw that rhymed?
Hiring in the UK. Oh, topic of the day is hiring in the UK. I was like,
wow.
Hiring in the UK doesn't rhyme.
It's topic of the day, hiring in the UK.
Nice.
Come on, dude.
That was that's awesome.
That was a solid rhyme. So I've mentioned this a couple times. I think that there's an interesting opportunity for people that want to, US companies, well, UK companies too. Hiring in the UK is great. I think there's an interesting opportunity though. I've been talking to several companies in the US that are trying to hire developers, having a hard time with it. We do still have people that are available. Actually, one person just hit the market the other day that's a straight up beast. But there's a very, I think, interesting opportunity, especially if you're on the, if you want a lot of overlap in daily schedule, you're on the East Coast. It's only 5 hours to the UK.
Right.
So there's some good overlap there. I mean, I don't know how much overlap you want to have. Maybe you want to have 4 hours of overlap in daily schedules or whatever. That's not going to be hard to do. Most importantly, solid e-commerce market there. Solid, Magento talent out there. Language. I mean, they do say a few things funny. I'm not going to lie. There's a few words they have to learn how to pronounce properly. So let's just put that right out there. But obviously language, you know what I'm saying? So time zone, Magento skill, language. And I was thinking about this and whatever, and then I talked to a couple of people I know, one really, really smart person that's been trying to hire for a while in the US, and they said, oh, we just hired somebody in the UK. And there's maybe 2 or 3 others that have recently done it. I recently made a couple intros. Or maybe a couple intros to US companies for UK developers. Nothing's landed yet. Although, just today that it's being filmed, not that it's landing, I got word that my first German full-time developer got placed, which is exciting.
Okay.
So, taking over Europe. But so I think it's an interesting little opportunity there for US companies to snatch up that UK talent.
So,
what do you think, Steve?
Well, my thoughts are more questions. And the question is, are you saying that for US, usually people like hiring in the US, but you're saying there's just a lot more opportunity in UK, or there's just a lot of untapped potential in the UK? Yeah,
there is. Oh, and the other bullet point that I forgot to mention is there's a salary differential. People in the UK will make like a good senior developer will make £40,000 per year, or maybe 50. Which is, I don't know what that converts to, 60 or 70,000 US, which is unheard of. There's just a differential. Now, I don't know all the particulars of health insurance and all the how, but I'm pretty sure that it's the UK, so you just get health insurance. I don't know if it's that. And I'm sure there's legal complications with setting up, a company in the UK and things like that. Maybe you can do it as a contractor. I am not a lawyer in any sense of the word, so you'd have to figure all that out. But yeah, I think it's just an interesting opportunity, salary-wise, time zone, language skill, Magento expertise.
Yeah, and I know you listed out some of those bullet points as far as language and overlap and all that kind of stuff, but are there any other big reasons why US is not looking more at UK when it comes to hiring and having someone on your team?
I think it just comes down to people not being super comfortable with hiring remote.
Sure, yeah.
If they are, like there's a couple companies I know that are comfortable with hiring remote, but they're looking for remote within the US. And that's just their comfort zone. Like there's legal things to work out, there's different details to work out. So it's like when I ask them about it, they're like, okay, sounds interesting, like could probably figure it out if we had the right person. And I set up this one interview, and actually this one guy had an interview with 2 different agencies who I know, one I know fairly well, the other one I know relatively well, and they both were like, man, this guy's good. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just a little bit outside of the comfort zone or, the thought process of a US company. Like, first of all, like hiring offshore falls into this whole category of like nightmarish scenarios of like hiring offshore and maybe they had a bad situation. Sure. And there's a lot of things you can look at there, but specifically, if you look at the UK specifically, I think that there's some very interesting things about that, and probably Netherlands as well, I think might fall into that category, because people in the Netherlands might even speak English better than people in the UK. Probably even better than people in the US. Like the level of English skill, it's crazy. I don't know if you've met people from the Netherlands.
No, honestly, I haven't.
The level of English skill is insane.
Really? Okay.
Like they sound like native speakers. Okay. Like all the idioms, like they get everything. Yeah. It's like, it's just
and you're
crazy.
Saying, like as far as pay scale, it's comparable to
similar
to UK.
Yep, similar. Yeah, I mean Netherlands, a lot of Europe, like for a developer, you're paying 30, 40, 50, 60,000 euros per year, that kind of a thing. Maybe up to 80. In bigger cities like Berlin. But yeah, it's just an interesting, interesting. If you're on the west coast of the US, now you've got a pretty significant time delay. But if you're on the east coast, it's probably pretty manageable.
And then when it comes to hiring a full-time programmer, is the, I guess, salary difference or the amount of money you'd save going from US to UK, not even like the headache is not worth it, even though with the amount of finances you'd be able to save?
What headache?
I mean, like, if someone were to think that there was a headache as far as the overlap or hiring offshore or whatever it is. There ain't no
headaches here, bro. No. It's Commerce Hero. We take away all the headaches.
Good point.
No, I mean, there's always some level of headache with, going to another country and things like that. I mean, if you already have all the development horsepower you need in the US and the salaries and everything is working out, you're good. Like, why consider going to another country or going anywhere? But it's only if you're running up against some challenges and budget wise you're having a hard time affording people in the US, that's where you might take a look at it. Because I know people that like maybe they want to hire remote for like 90 or 100,000 in the US, and that's for a senior developer, that's a little tough. Yeah, sure. Like it's a little tricky, but like again, like in the UK, you probably get somebody fantastic for that kind of salary, like super fantastic. It's right. Interesting.
And I guess I'm wondering is as a client or as someone who's hiring someone, is the obvious salary difference not enough of a reason to make the jump and just go remote or hire offshore?
Is the salary difference not enough of a reason?
Yeah, I mean, like, just like, let's say that, I mean, with the budget, maybe you can afford 1.5 times the amount of people. Is that still kind of like, nah, I'm just going to stick with US?
It could be. Mm-hmm. I mean, it could be. People have, some people have a very strong preference for location, whether it's my city or my, within the country. Some people have very strong preferences. Mm-hmm. I think if you have any level of ability to work remotely at all, my hunch is it's definitely going to be worth it, and not just in a pure like, oh, you'll save $10,000 or $20,000 type of a way, but more in like you can get somebody you can afford that is going to be really good, like not just okay, but like really good. Like there's some very solid senior developers in the UK that you start to be able to afford within that kind of a budget range.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Right
so
as far as like if you're a client,
yes, sir.
if you're a client, are there any other types of like, I don't know, like legal kind of things that you might get into, or what other types of issues?
Definitely.
Yes.
I mean, definitely. And I don't know much about that. Really, the only way I learn about any kind of legal stuff is I talk to somebody that's done it before and they tell me about it and I go, oh, that makes sense.
So you have heard that there are some legal things with hiring full-time offshore.
I mean, there's definitely like pretty much whether you're going to a different state or a different country, like technically, legally, like, you have to, if you hire them as a contractor, it's one thing. If you hire them, I need to like blast across the screen on this video like I am not a lawyer, capital letters. You need to like, you need to have some kind of a company set up there, or they have to be on a contract basis. There's always something you have to do, but people that have done remote and have figured out how to set up, whether it's you're in the US and you figured out how to set up you're an employee in another state, there's a certain amount of overhead and legal stuff you got to deal with. And it's probably the same thing. There's just a certain amount of overhead. There's probably companies that help with that. There's some HR companies that help you to get your legal entity set up, or you can use them as a legal entity. So there's ways to do it. It's just a matter of like taking the time and kind of dealing with the hassle of the paperwork. Right. And I'll know more about that as I talk to people that have actually done it before and kind of figured it out. There's one company that hired somebody from Germany. I should probably talk to them and see what they did. So yeah, I mean, there's ways to do it. It's just a matter of getting it.
Yeah, and that's the full-time side. But if you're a client and you're trying to hire contract side or like as a contractor, does that become way less complicated? Yeah,
because you can pretty much hire somebody as a contractor from anywhere, and it's just you just pay them as a contractor. But I think technically, if somebody works with you for a certain period of time, it's not actually legal for them to be a contractor if you're their own. Like there's certain rules about that. So some people fly under the radar on that, but there's ways.
It's interesting that we're talking about it at this point of the year. I guess at this point of the year is kind of when you want to take a look over all your legality kind of issues, right? And make sure that it's all tight. So it's all good.
Get all your ducks in a row. I'm finally getting incorporated, believe it or not. Commerce Hero is about 14 months in, and we've been doing it under Eric's business entity. Right. I was like, we'll deal with that later. So finally dealing with it, going to get everything worked out before 2018. So Commerce Hero LLC is coming to a terms and service document near you. Right. Keep an eye out for it.
For
check it out.
Legit company.
So good.